All right, Keith, to start with, now we're going to talk about Everton, of course, and 777. Now, there were some reports that a takeover deadline was set actually for today at the time of recording on Tuesday. What were your thoughts, and do you have any update on that for us, please?
Well, I was surprised the deadline came so quickly, or at least was announced so quickly. I think it was announced on the 29th that the deadline was going to be the 30th. So obviously things have not been successful in terms of finding other funding. There'd been a lot of sort of positive noises from the club that things were going well and it was all going to be done. And then all of a sudden we're met with this abrupt deadline. So obviously things have seemed to have come to a bit of an end. Look, I haven't got any specific inside information, but I do know that the club has been talking, to Deloitte, their main advisors, about trying to find other potential suitors. So that seems to have been the way that they've been able to get around the idea of exclusivity with 777, that other parties have to go through a third party. So that makes some sort of sense. And then news is coming out today, two other things, that one of a regional airline in Australia has gone bust. That was apparently one of the ones owned by 777 and had a 777 guy on the board as well, Stephen Pascoe. So another issue around funding, certainly this one in the aviation department for 777. But as we've said all along for the last few months, there's an awful lot of noise around them. And that certainly is a problem. The other thing that's coming out today is that also Bloomberg are now saying that there could well be debt restructuring advisors coming to Everton and helping them trying to get the debt into some order. Now, the problem with this is, and this has always been the issue, is that now the 777 issue dragged on for so long, the debt kept increasing, including another 200 million of debt to 777. And of course, trying to refinance debt when interest rates are reasonably high right now, 5.5%, is never going to be that easy. So they've got to go into the marketplace. I think everybody's been always amazed that right from the start, the finance for the stadium was never put in place fully before they actually embarked on the project. I think the belief must have been that when Usmanov was attached with Mashiri, that there would have been a source of capital. Certainly it seemed that way, the way the sponsorships went around the naming rights for the stadium. But of course, we all know the Ukraine war happened and Usmanov disappeared. And so Everton were left without a really strong funding package for the rest of the stadium. And so that's meant even more debt. So restructuring finance is going to be crucial. I think it can be done. I think it will be done. I don't think there's a genuine threat of administration or anything like that. I really don't believe that at all. And so we're now at the stage where a lot of us thought we would be, where 777 have not performed. And we're going to have to go and find another solution. Of course, we're so near the transfer window. Any new owners will have to have some say in any new squad rebuilding. And then there's the old PSR umbrella hanging over us and the cloud hanging over us. So it's still a few bits to unravel. But of course, I also think that this timing of the April 30th date coming so soon after Everton became safe in the Premier League meant that a lot of new potential owners saw that they were now safe, had another season in the Premier League. I think that may have been the tipping point for a lot of things to have gone into place this weekend.
Are you now set then, Keith, that 777 won't complete the takeover? Is that effectively what you're saying? And actually, how quickly are we expecting, if there is to be someone else to step in? Could it be a few weeks? Will it be months? How long do we think a shift is going to take if it's going to be from 777 to somebody else?
Well, of course, look, they could still come up with something at the last minute. They've been known to do it. And if they get a strong partner to back them, there was a company in America called Blue Owl that was supposed to be coming to their rescue. Anything can happen in finance. I mean, it's a very fast-moving situation, as we're all aware. So they're not completely out of the picture, but they've certainly had a long time to get it right. And so you've got to think that they are not going to be able to get it across the line. As far as a new person coming in, well, they've got to be able to get the real numbers on the debt situation. They've got to be able to understand, the forecast for the next couple of years, how much money is required to finish the stadium. The good news is, of course, the stadium is in a very, very advanced situation right now. It should be finished by the end of this year, and then there'll be test events, etc., and many events going to get it going for the season after. So those sort of things are all very positive. It's a case of this debt restructuring and how you're going to do it, and can you perhaps get it to go over 10 years rather than the next 2 or 3 years. It's going to be up to those guys who can handle that sort of thing. It's not the biggest debt restructuring that's ever been imagined. It's not shouldn't be really too complex. There are a few stakeholders, but I think it can be done. I can see a way through it, and certainly I would hope that Everton can get this done reasonably quickly. If new suitors have been looking at the club and have had access to those numbers from Deloitte over the last couple of months, then they could move very quickly. So let's hope that's the case.
I mean, Keith, there's been some links to Qatar potentially and some Qatari owners. Now, I mean, in a similar way, I think to Newcastle's takeover, how would Everton react if a multi-billion owner stepped into the club? And actually, do you think that could then mean huge spending in the summer, as you've kind of mentioned that, you know, that summer transfer window is becoming closer? Is that a reality for the club potentially?
Well, it's a lovely thought. Certainly, Tim Cahill has been linked as the face of any Qatari bids as such, because Tim has done a great job down there in Qatar with the Aspire Academy and is very involved at a high level with the Qatar national team and their whole football plan. So if he was to get the right ear of people in Qatar, and Tim is a very forceful personality, he's done so well in business since he got out of football, that could be a possibility. And I know there's been a lot of rumours on the fan websites that Tim may be involved in that. So Qatar is not ridiculous. How would it be received? I think by the fans, I think it would be quite well received. There is obviously the political issues that have to be resolved. But I think out of probably most of the nation states, I would think Qatar may be one that could be acceptable to the Everton fans. But in football, as we all know, things are 50-50. 50% of the fans will hate it and 50% of the fans will love it. So it's just the way it's going to go.
It's always how it is, Keith. And in terms of 777, there were some reports equally saying that they could sell other clubs to fund the takeover deal. That's one solution for them. Is that a concern for you at all, that they wouldn't necessarily be backing other clubs to make Everton their prize asset? Or actually, does that show a statement of intent, do you think?
I think it's showing problems in terms of being stretched too far. I mean, they built this multi-club organisation, and part of the whole promise was to be able to have feeder clubs in for the big halo club, which was supposed to be Everton. I believe that they have got Standard Liège up for sale, and I think, you know, Hertha Berlin at some stage will be looking to try and extract some sort of value from that investment they've got there. So look, it's difficult to see how they're really putting all together. People are really starting to think the House of Cards is starting to fall down. It's not easy. And if you're going to build a multi-club organisation, you normally extend it. You don't cut it back, particularly with something as good an asset as Standard Liège, given the whole situation in that league and why it's so good and flexible in terms of bringing foreign talent in. And it's a great incubator. So it would have been a big asset with Everton, but if it's not to be, then I think it'll be the financial backing for 777 that will dictate that.
And Keith, if you then had to make a call on it, are you expecting someone else to come in then? And actually, do you think that 777 effectively needs to just call it quits at this point?
Yeah, look, I think I'm aware that there are people circling. They're very credible. They're very good. They're existing sports franchise owners. And so I've got to believe that something good will come out of this. I think people with a better track record can come forward. It's just been a long time coming, and I think getting safety last Sunday was the key thing. So, great news.